Oh, okay, so recently, some of my Aerosmith reviews have come back to life, which is awesome. That's why I have such a great, vast back catalog, so people go in. And one thing that keeps popping up, and when I talk to people outside of comments and that, one thing that keeps popping up, everybody keeps saying is how much Aerosmith Rocks is their favorite album. Now we all know that I classify, if you're one of my regular viewers or if you're an Aerosmith, come in just for the Aerosmith, you know that I consider Toys in the Attic a perfect 10 album. There's no bad song on that album. Every song on that album is a solid track through and through that you want to listen to every time you listen to that album. There are a few albums that I do classify as this. When it comes to rock bands, Aerosmith has Toys in the Attic. Alice Cooper has the Killer album. Metallica's Master of Puppets is a perfect 10. I'm blanking on all the other ones at the moment. One of these days I'm going to have to do a list of what I classify as top 10 perfect 10s. That might be coming up as a top 10 soon. My top 10 perfect 10s. Or my favorite perfect 10s. Anyways, now, just because I rate an album as a perfect 10 does not mean I think it's their best album, which sounds weird. Doesn't mean it's my favorite album either. And the reason I bring all this up, this big winding intro, is, for example, Master of Puppets, without a doubt, perfect 10 album from Metallica. That being said, not my favorite album. My favorite album is either Kill 'Em All or Reload. I've never been able to make up my mind on that to this day. Alice Cooper, slightly different situation. Killer is probably my favorite Alice Cooper album. It's at least the one I've listened to the most, probably because it is a perfect 10 album and I go beginning to end. It's a greatest hits album. Now, bringing this all back around to Aerosmith, Toys in the Attic, same thing. I think Toys in the Attic is a perfect 10 album. I've never heard anybody really argue against it being a perfect 10 album, but I can understand why Rocks is so many people's favorite album. And let me explain why. Now, I do not consider this a perfect 10 album. It can't be a perfect 10 album. There are songs on here that, to me, are not the greatest Aerosmith songs. They're not bad, but they're not great. And that's the thing. Every song on Toys in the Attic is a great song. Whether you like them or not, you have to admit they're great songs. One track in particular on here, you'll never convince me is a great song. But, this album does contain not only my favorite Aerosmith song, it contains quite a few songs that I absolutely love. And I know I recently did my top 10, which I really should have gone back and double checked really first before doing this review to double check how many of these were actually on my top 10. I know the first song on here is, so let's just get into the songs. Back in the Saddle. Favorite Aerosmith song. It has been my favorite Aerosmith song since I got the Pandora's box set when I was a young, wee teenage lad. And I broke up with my first major girlfriend. And by major, we lasted a few months and, it was all weird and emotional and heartbroken. But Back in the Saddle, man, this song got me through it. This song got me through it, man. And to this day, this one and Guns N' Roses' Dead Horse, my two favorite breakup songs, man. Get you back in the saddle, get you going again. Play those two on loop for a couple hours, you're good to go. Get it all out of your fucking system. The other thing I love about Back in the Saddle, it is one of the few songs that Joe Perry does not do the guitar solo on. It's Brad Whitford. Beautiful. All right, then we get into Last Child, man. Oh, this is another good tune, man. Just great tune. Like, and follow Back in the Saddle. I just a last child. I just up on the street. Yeah. And Steven Tyler's vocals on this album are something else. But there's a few songs on here where it's not just about Steven Tyler's vocals. But Last Child, another great tune, man. And a completely different kind of vibe going after Back in the Saddle. Totally works. Fantastic. Then you get Rats in the Cellar, man. Oh, yeah. Just like, damn. Like, that's three killer tunes in a row, man. And these are three songs that, Back in the Saddle is the first song on the album. So obviously that's the easy one to play. Last Child and Rats in the Cellar were still getting regular airplay on rock radio into the 90s. Next track. This is one I hadn't heard before and I was not familiar with. Combination, which based on the layout on the back here, I'm going to say that it was 4 tracks on side 1 and 5 tracks on side 2. I didn't bother to look for the vinyl. And Combination's a really good tune. Really surprised I had never heard Combination before, or I'm not aware that I've heard Combination before. Really just kind of surprised me coming out of left field. Really good, deep album cut. Then you hit Sick as a Dog, which I don't mind. I was talking to my buddy Pat, and he said it was one of his favorite songs, actually. And I get it. It definitely not a bad tune. My issue with it is there are certain songs Aerosmith does where they kind of... I know everybody calls Aerosmith the bad boys of rock and roll, but realistically, compared to the original Alice Cooper band, they were just a bunch of junkies, whereas the original Alice Cooper group, especially with, like Glenn Buxton in there, definitely a little more closer to real bad boys. And Sick as a Dog kind of was going for a tone that reminds me of Alice Cooper. With kind of having that bad attitude, like Gutter Cats versus the Jets, Public Animal #9. A lot of the Schools Out album kind of mentality. And to me, when Aerosmith is doing that bad boy, we're dangerous kind of thing, or, we're dark and seedy kind of thing, they don't work for me as well as when they're being the bright kind of Boys of Summer touring kind of thing that I am more accustomed to with Aerosmith. But that's just me. And then you get into Nobody's Fault, and another tune just I've always absolutely loved. Great tune. Get the Lead Out. This is the one where it stops the album from definitely. Sick as a Dog, well, it doesn't work for me. It does work. It's just a song that doesn't work for me. But it's a good enough cut. I could say it's a solid album cut along with Combination and still keep this album ranking pretty high. When I get to Get the Lead Out, it's a misfire for me on the album. It doesn't work for me. Licking a Promise, I don't mind. I don't mind Licking a Promise, which follows that up. And then you get Home Tonight, which finishes out the album. I don't mind it finishing out the album, but it's another song I'm not overly thrilled or overly impressed with. But I think there's a lot of people that still enjoy it. So Get the Lead Out is really the one that kind of takes this album out of the contention for being a 10 out of 10 album. But it's not a bad enough song to say that this shouldn't be someone's favorite album. This is a really good album. I mean, I don't know if I want to say 9. I want to say 8.5 out of 10. I don't usually want to use percentages like that or, go that way, but I'd say this is a solid 8.5 out of 10. I was more than happy to pay full price for it, get a nice digital remaster, the cute little repackaging on it. It really works for me. I very much enjoy this album. It's an album I'm definitely going to listen to more than once over the years. And honestly, there's a good possibility it will end up going in probably more often than Twice in the Attic went in. But the whole way around, really fun, enjoyable album. So yeah, if you can find it, if you can find it used for oops, sorry, that was my foot hitting the tripod. If you can find a good used copy of it, pick it up. If you can find it on vinyl, pick it up. type of album that should be listened to on vinyl. You know, I got Draw the Line. That's what I did the review for Draw the Line was on vinyl. And you know, if I enjoyed Draw the Line on vinyl that much, and it's Draw the Line, which is when they were starting to slip a little, you know, Rocks is going to be great on vinyl, right? All right, folks. Let me know what you think down below. Have I know I'm kind of downplaying this album a little bit, and I don't mean to be. It's just, you know, I've talked about quite a few of these songs already, and of the songs I haven't talked about, Combination, probably my favorite on this that wasn't included in Pandora's box. I don't know. Sweet Pandora in her box. Anyways, folks, comments down below. On your way down there, if you get the like button, subscribe button, bell for notifications, I'd really enjoy it. Please and thank you. There's a couple links worth checking out. Otherwise, folks, peace, love, take care.